The letter was never meant to be read by anyone but Santa, yet it landed like a quiet earthquake on the desk of a man who had almost forgotten how hope felt. It arrived folded, slightly wrinkled, written in uneven handwriting, and sealed with a red crayon heart. By the time he realized what it was, something inside his chest had already begun to crack open. Some letters change lives not because they are perfect, but because they arrive at the exact moment a soul is most unguarded. Before the story pulls you deeper, pause for just a second. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the quiet miracles that happen when strangers cross paths, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, comment your thoughts, and subscribe to the channel. Your small action helps stories like this reach hearts that need them most. The letter began with words that felt both innocent and impossibly heavy. It was written by a woman who had reached an age where people stop asking about dreams and start asking why they have not worked out. She had not asked Santa for money, beauty, or even an easier life. She had asked for a man, not just any man, but one who would stay, one who would not disappear when things grew heavy or when silence lasted too long. She wrote that she was tired of being strong alone, tired of pretending that independence did not take. She wrote that she had love to give but nowhere safe to place it. She apologized for the request, as if wanting companionship were something to be ashamed of, and ended by saying she hoped Santa would understand. The man who read it was a single father named Daniel, though few people called him anything but quiet or distant anymore. His desk sat in the back office of a small-town postal sorting center, where undeliverable letters ended up every December. Letters to Santa had become his seasonal responsibility, a task meant to be light-hearted. Most were from children asking for toys, pets, or miracles of their own. He usually scanned them with the practiced attachment before placing them into storage. This one stopped him cold. Daniel had not planned on reading more than the first line, but loneliness has a way of recognizing itself. He had been alone for years, not by choice but by circumstance that hardened into habit. His wife had passed away suddenly, leaving behind a small house filled with echoes and a son who learned too early what absence meant. Daniel learned to function without dreaming. He worked, he cooked, he showed up. He did not ask for more because asking had once cost him everything. As snow pressed softly against the windows that evening, Daniel reread the letter several times. Each sentence felt like it had been written by someone sitting across from him, someone brave enough to admit what he had buried. He imagined the woman at a kitchen table late at night, writing after another long day, hoping a fictional figure might do what real people never had. He folded the letter carefully and placed it in his coat pocket, unaware that his small act would shift the gravity of his world. The woman who wrote the letter was named Emily, though Daniel did not know that yet. She lived in the same town, only a few streets away, in a modest apartment decorated with thrift store furniture and small reminders of a life she once thought would be shared. Emily worked at a community library, a place where stories were borrowed and returned, but her own story felt stuck on the same page. She smiled easily for others and laughed when expected, yet every night tended the same way, with quiet and the dull ache of unmet longing. Emily had written the letter on impulse, driven by exhaustion more than belief. She had grown tired of well-meaning friends telling her to wait, to be patient, to love herself harder. She did love herself, but self-love did not sit beside her during dinner or ask about her day. Writing to Santa felt childish and foolish, yet strangely honest. She dropped the letter into the mailbox before she could reconsider, half hoping it would disappear into nothing. Days passed. Daniel could not stop thinking about the letter. He felt foolish for being affected, yet it followed him through routines, through quiet dinners and sleepless nights. His son noticed the change first. There was a softness returning to Daniel's expression, a distracted warmth. It frightened him almost as much as it comforted him. Hope had once shattered him. He was not sure he could survive it again. The holiday season intensified everything. Decorations appeared in shop windows, couples walked hand in hand, and loneliness became louder against the backdrop of celebration. Emily found herself lingering at work after hours, reorganizing shelves that did not need organizing. She told herself she was content, yet her heart betrayed her with every Christmas song drifting through the aisles. The turning point came when Daniel noticed return address scribbled faintly on the back of the envelope. It was not complete, but it was enough. He wrestled with the decision for days. He knew reaching out crossed an invisible line. He was a stranger, a widower, a father who barely trusted himself to want anything more. But he also knew that ignoring the letter would be another quiet betrayal of a feeling he had not allowed himself in years. When Daniel finally walked into the library on a cold afternoon, he did not know what he expected. He only knew that something inside him demanded he try. He saw Emily before she saw him, standing behind the desk, her hair pulled back, her expression gentle but tired. There was nothing extraordinary about her at first glance, and that was what made her extraordinary. She looked real. She looked like someone who had carried hope carefully so it would not break. Their first interaction was ordinary, almost painfully so. He checked out a book he did not need. She smiled politely, yet beneath the surface, something recognized something else. Over the next weeks, Daniel returned often, always borrowing, always lingering a moment longer. Emily began to notice the consistency, the quiet kindness, the way he listened without needing to impress. She did not know why she felt safe around him, only that she did. Slowly, lives began to intersect. Daniel mentioned his son in passing, the way his voice softened when he spoke of him. Emily spoke of her work, her love for stories that ended well. Neither mentioned the letter. It hovered invisibly between them, shaping moments, guiding silences. Change did not arrive in a dramatic sweep. It came in small gestures, a shared laugh over a misplaced book, a conversation that lasted longer than intended. Daniel's son meeting Emily and feeling, instinctively, that she was kind. Emily realizing that she laughed more easily these days, that the evenings did not feel quite as heavy. Still, fear lingered. Daniel battled guilt, wondering if allowing himself happiness meant forgetting the woman he lost. Emily battled disbelief, waiting for the moment when the ground would give way, when this too would vanish. Both stood at the edge of something fragile, unsure whether to step forward. The truth emerged not as a revelation, but as a confession. One evening, as snow fell again, Daniel told Emily about the letter, about how it had found him, about how it had reminded him of something he thought he no longer needed. Emily listened in stunned silence, realization washing over her like a wave. She felt exposed, embarrassed, and strangely seen all at once. There was no anger, no retreat, only a shared understanding that sometimes the universe answers prayers in ways that feel impossibly human. The letter had not summoned a perfect man, nor had it erased pain. It had simply opened a door that both had been too afraid to knock on alone. As Christmas approached, the house that once echoed with absence filled slowly with warmth. Not perfection, not certainty, but something better. Choice. Emily chose to believe that wanting love did not make her weak. Daniel chose to believe that moving forward did not mean leaving the past behind. Together, they built something careful and real. Near the end of the year, Daniel watched Emily decorate a small tree with his son, laughter weaving through the room like a blessing. He realized that the greatest gift he had ever received arrived in an envelope meant for someone else. Emily, standing in that same room later, thought of the night she had written the letter, of how small and lonely she had felt, and how brave she had been without knowing it. If this story is touching something inside you, if it reminds you of a letter you never sent or a hope you buried too deep, please take a moment to like this video, share it, and subscribe. Stories like this live through your support, and your engagement helps them reach hearts that need to hear them. Before the ending, I want to ask you something simple but meaningful. Please comment below where you are watching from and whether you believe that small acts of honesty can change lives. Your words matter more than you know. On Christmas morning, as light filtered through the window and snow softened the world outside, Emily placed a small envelope beneath the tree. Inside was the original letter, now worn at the edges, with one new line added at the bottom. She wrote that Santa did not need to send anyone anymore, because someone had already arrived. Daniel read it quietly, emotion tightening his throat, understanding that love does not always arrive with certainty, but it always arrives with courage. The story did not end with guarantees or perfect promises. It ended with two people choosing to keep showing up, choosing hope over fear, choosing to believe that even the loneliest letters can find the right desk. And sometimes, when the world feels too heavy, all it takes is one honest wish, written in trembling handwriting, to remind us that we were never meant to carry life alone.